In a week where all our focus should be on Ukraine, Keir Starmer is asking Trump whether we can give away the Chagos Islands, British territory, to Mauritius, an ally of China, and pay billions for the privilege. Let me explain what's going on. It was the French who first occupied them until 1814, when Napoleon loses the Battle of Paris, and the French agree to give Mauritius and all of their islands in the region, including Chagos, to the British. Mauritius had no links with Chagos. In fact, the Chagos Islands are more than 2,000 kilometers away from Mauritius. Almost no Mauritians had or have ever lived on Chagos. In fact, the only people who have are a few thousand Chagosians, a small community who Keir Starmer has never met with. So why is Mauritius now claiming sovereignty? Well, the British administered Chagos from Mauritius, but they were separate entities. Originally, New Zealand was administered from Australia, but Australia is not claiming sovereignty over New Zealand. Anyway, let's fast forward to 1965. Mauritius is British, but the British are about to grant independence, and Mauritius is now a democracy. Such was the lack of connection between Chagos and Mauritius, the Mauritian government agreed to sever all ties for just £3 million, 50 million quid in today's money. So the Chagos Islands moved from being a dependency to a British colony to a British overseas territory. To recap, the Chagos Islands have been British sovereign territory since 1814. It's only in 1982 when a far-left party wins power in Mauritius, when their government first makes the claim that the British government coerced them out of their land. This claim is nonsense. When it was first made, a Mauritian leader, a patriot, the man who led the country to independence and is still highly respected, said so. He said he wasn't forced to do a deal. The Chagos was, and I quote, a portion of our territory of which very few people knew, which is very far from here, in which we had never visited. He said claiming Chagos would make Mauritius look ridiculous in the eyes of the world. Fast forward to 2019, and the International Court of Justice issues an opinion saying that the 1965 agreement was unlawful and the British should give up Chagos as soon as possible. This is the core of Labour's argument, but there are so many problems with it. Most importantly, the ICJ's opinion was non-binding, advisory. It said so itself. A fundamental principle of international law is that these judgments are non-binding unless the countries themselves, the parties, agree for the dispute to be settled by the court. We never consented for this dispute to go before the court, so the ICJ has no jurisdiction. There is no legal reason whatsoever why we have to give up the Chagos Islands. You may be thinking, this sounds like a bad idea, but are these islands really that important to us? The answer is yes. The UK-US Diego Garcia military base is on the islands. Nuclear operations are conducted there. A vital communication station is located there. Admiral Lord West, who once ran the Navy and after that was a Labour minister, has said, it's no exaggeration to say that Diego Garcia hosts the most strategically important base in the Indian Ocean, and it is vital to the defence of the United Kingdom. Starmer wants to give Chagos to Mauritius and then take a 99-year lease on the base. He says this will make us safer, but how can giving the base to another country and taking a lease on it possibly make us safer? The real security issue here is China. Lord West says there is little doubt that China is pushing Mauritius to take Diego Garcia because they want the base for themselves. In this context, a 99-year lease is a house built on sand. Mauritius is close to China. Mauritius is indebted to China. There are 47 different official Chinese development projects in Mauritius already. And look, countries change their minds all the time. In the 1990s, the US lost a crucial base in the Philippines because the government there changed their tune. And look what happened in Hong Kong, where the Chinese ripped up an agreement they'd made with us. And then we come to the money. Our pensioners are having their winter fuel allowances taken away. Our armed forces are desperately in need of investment. And yet apparently we've got more than £10 billion to pay for this deal. I say apparently because we learn more about this in the Mauritian Parliament than we do in our own Parliament. So why is this deal really happening? And who's behind it? Well, at the heart of this are three men, three old friends, three men who have an extreme interpretation of international law that most people would find ludicrous. On our side of the negotiating table, you've got Keir Starmer. He went on a 5-star, all-expenses-paid trip to Mauritius in 2013. He gave a lecture and he discussed the Chagos Islands. And then you've got Lord Hermer, the government's top lawyer, Starmer's old friend and former campaign donor, the man better known as Gerry Adams' lawyer. Hermer has described controlling our borders as dehumanising and almost every aspect of the British Empire as deeply racist. And on the other side of the table, leading the Mauritian negotiating team, is Philippe Sands, another old friend of Keir Starmer and Lord Hermer from their legal careers. Philippe Sands is a British citizen, but one who boasted about trying to humiliate Britain through his legal work. And in 2022, he illegally entered the Chagos Islands and planted a Mauritian flag on British soil. What kind of British citizen does that? The connection between these three men is deeply troubling. It's almost like they're working together to surrender our territory and our security. It seems like Keir Starmer cares more about his extreme idea of international law and his reputation amongst his international legal friends than he does about our national security. This dangerous nonsense needs to stop. Keir Starmer can and must end this farce today. We don't have to do this. Give away the money, endanger the base, help China. Let's focus on Ukraine and its security, on our nation and our security. If you agree, write to Starmer, write to your Member of Parliament. Let's stop this.